So, today we're going to talk about an automated shield for your crypto. We're diving deep into DeFi Saver, which is honestly one of the most powerful tools out there for managing those risky leveraged positions in DeFi. We're going to figure out if it can really protect you when the market goes sideways.
I mean, seriously, just imagine for a second. In the absolutely wild, up-and-down world of DeFi, what if you had a system, an automated guardian, just standing watch over your portfolio, ready to jump in and defend your assets the second prices start to tank?
But what if it wasn't just about defense? What if that exact same system could see the market pumping and automatically flip the switch, increasing your leverage so you can ride that wave even higher? Well, that's the incredibly powerful promise we're digging into today.
Okay, so to really get why a tool like DeFi Saver is such a big deal, first we've got to talk about leverage in DeFi. It's a super high-stakes game, Fortunes are made, but they're also lost in an instant. And it all comes down to one massive, ever-present risk.
That risk, it's called liquidation. And honestly, it's the ultimate boogeyman for anyone playing with leverage. When the value of your collateral, let's say it's your Ethereum, drops below a certain point, the protocol just forces a sale. It sells your assets to make sure its loan is paid back. For you, it's pretty much a catastrophic event.
And look, this isn't some abstract theoretical thing. As this user on Reddit points out, events like Black Thursday back in March of 2020 are a brutal reminder of what can happen. You had a massive price crash, the network got completely clogged, gas fees went to the moon, and it all led to millions and millions in forced liquidations. It is the exact scenario that keeps DeFi users up at night. So where does DeFi Saver actually fit into this whole puzzle? Well, it isn't a lending protocol itself. It's what's called an aggregator. The best way to think about it is like a smart management layer, a dashboard that sits on top of those big foundational protocols like MakerDAO or Aave. It gives you one central place to control and, more importantly, automate what you're doing across all these different platforms.
And that brings us to the absolute core of what makes this thing tick: automation. Seriously, think of DeFi Saver as an automated co-pilot for your super high-performance DeFi jet. You're still the pilot, you set the destination, but it's handling all those tiny, second-to-second adjustments to make sure you don't crash.
And this slide, man, this really hits home for anyone who's tried to do this manually. On one side, you're glued to your screen, totally stressed out every time the market dips, and you're always worried you'll be too slow to react. On the other side, with automation, you just set your rules up front, your triggers, and the system takes over. It executes instantly, 24/7, even when you're sound asleep. So how does this magic actually work? Well, it's actually pretty brilliant in its simplicity. You basically tell it, hey, I never want my collateralization ratio to go below 170%, and I don't want it to go above 200%. Simple. If the price of your ETH drops and you start getting close to that 170% danger zone, boom, it triggers what's called a repay. It sells just enough of your ETH to pay down some debt and push your ratio back up into the safe zone. But on the flip side, if the price of ETH is soaring and your position gets too safe, like over 200%, it triggers a boost. It borrows more stablecoins and uses them to buy even more ETH, increasing your leverage and your potential upside.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about defense, about not getting wrecked, but this tool isn't just a shield. Let's get into the really interesting part: how savvy users are turning these defensive tools into offensive weapons to maximize their profits.
Okay, get a load of this number, 220 ETH. That's not the total value locked. No, at the time of this discussion, that was the average amount of collateral in a single automated position. That is a massive vote of confidence. It shows you that it's not just small-time retail experimenting here. We're talking about serious capital being managed by this automation.
And the game is getting way, way smarter. People aren't just setting static numbers anymore. The community is already buzzing with ideas about how to trigger these boost and repay actions based on dynamic things like technical indicators. Imagine your position automatically adjusting when the price crosses the 20-day moving average. The idea is to evolve this from just being a safety rail into a full-blown automated trading strategy.
All right, but let's pump the brakes a little. Because, in DeFi, there is no such thing as a free lunch. This automation is incredible, but it comes with trade-offs, and it's absolutely critical that you understand the hidden costs and the very real risks that are involved.
And this right here, this is the #1 most fundamental critique of this entire system. Think about it. By its very design, the automation has to sell low when the price is crashing to save you from liquidation, and it has to buy high when the price is rallying to add more leverage. For a trader whose whole philosophy is buy the dip, sell the top, this is, well, the exact opposite of what you want to do.
Now, this This is an absolutely fascinating, real-world story from someone who lived through Black Thursday using DeFi Saver. And at first, it's a victory cry. I was not liquidated, which in that market was a massive win. But then you see the cost. To save the position, the system had to keep selling off bits of their ETH on the way down. So even when the price finally recovered, they were left with only 65% of the ETH they started with.
And that leads to this perfectly phrased insight from another user that just nails it. DeFi Saver isn't some magic wand that prevents liquidation. What it actually does is perform a series of tiny, controlled liquidations along the way, so that you can avoid the one single catastrophic liquidation that would have wiped you out completely. You're sacrificing pieces of your army to win the war.
And then there's the elephant in the room, gas fees. The automation is needed most when the market is going crazy, which is exactly when the Ethereum network gets congested and gas fees skyrocket. Just look at these numbers from a test period. If you're running an aggressive strategy, it could trigger 120 times. At 50 Kwai, which isn't even that high for a crisis, that's 12 ETH, just in fees. For anyone with a smaller position, the fees alone could completely drain your capital.
So let's just put it all together. A quick reality check is in order here. The simulation tools are awesome for getting a general idea, but they are not perfect. They often don't account for those crazy gas fees or for price slippage you get on exchanges. Your actual real-world performance, especially in a meltdown like Black Thursday, can end up looking very different from what the simulation promised.
So, after all that, where does this leave us? What's the future of these incredibly powerful automated tools in the DeFi world?
I think the most important thing to get your head around is this. At its core, DeFi Saver is a risk management tool. It's not a magic money printing machine. Its main job is to enforce a disciplined strategy, a strategy that is designed to accept a series of small, calculated hits in order to avoid that one big haymaker that knocks you out of the game for good.
And that leaves us with one final and I think really important question to chew on. As these tools get smarter and smarter, incorporating more complex signals and strategies, are they actually getting rid of risk? Or are they just acting as a better safety net, making us all feel a little too comfortable and encouraging us to take on even more leverage? It's a question we're all going to have to deal with as this space continues to grow. Thanks for joining This Explainer.